So I'm sure many of you have heard of the giant panda, am I right? Well, how many of you have heard of the Ailuropoda melonuica? Well, I'm sure most of you have, because this is the scientific name for the giant panda. By making you more aware of what the giant panda stands for and the complexity of their physical description, I will explain to you why the giant panda is so rare. This brings me to my first key point, which is what the giant panda stands for. The giant panda is the world's most cherished, yet one of the most endangered species also. In China, where the giant panda is found, they are most cherished. In China, the giant panda stands for peace, and during times of war, the Chinese would put a picture of one of these, probably wasn't like this, but it was probably more like that, on their flags as a signal of surrender during times of war. Today, the giant panda is the logo for the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, which is that symbol right there. And that comes from the article Giant Pandas by the Smithsonian National Zoological Park in 2002. As you can see, the pandas are precious to this world because of their beauty, but they are becoming rare due to their limited reproduction. Scientists have recently discovered that the giant panda is in fact a bear. This may seem pretty obvious to us, but there have been many scientists who have had controversies between one another saying that the giant panda belongs in the cat or the raccoon family, which I don't understand how that could be. But because the giant panda is a bear, this means that reproductively female bears, or sows, can only have 1 to 2 cubs, if any. This means that the giant panda population will grow in very small increments due to a mother only having 1 or 2 cubs. The second problem that pandas have in reproduction is timing. Breeding age comes naturally for pandas in the wild at 4, and they will stop breeding at the age of 8. This is very short, and in the wild that comes from the article Vocal Cues to Identity and Related to Pandas from Charlton, Snyder, and that's in 2009. In the wild, pandas mate from March to May, which is extremely short compared to other mammals who mate a lot longer in the year. The females only ovulate once a year, and they're only fertile for 2 or 3 days. And this makes reproduction, even in captivity, extremely difficult. With this information, you can see that when a female panda gets pregnant, it's extraordinary, and for her to carry cubs to full term is a miracle. The biggest story in recent history happened this past year when a female panda named Kizan gave birth to 2 cubs in Madrid, Spain, excuse me. The 11-year-old mother is right here. She was long past the natural age of breeding, and she was artificially inseminated this year in February and became pregnant in July. These 2 cubs, right here, that's one of them, were born September 7th, 2010, and they remained nameless for 100 days following a Chinese tradition. After this period of time, the names were announced as Miaihin and Yihin. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say it, but the names were released at that time. The birth of these cubs broke many records in itself. They were the first cubs to be born artificially inseminated outside of China ever. They were also the first twins ever to be born in Europe, and they were the first pandas to be born in Spain since 82. Even though these pandas are the new famous pandas, the most famous panda couple consisted of Sing Sing and Ling Ling, which are these 2 pandas right here. They were given to President Nixon in 1972 as a token of goodwill after his historic visit to China. They weren't able to have any cubs of their own, unfortunately, but they were able to bring people from all around the country to where they were in Washington, D.C., and they brought the love between the Chinese culture for the pandas and Americans' new love for the pandas, and they just brought a common bond in between all of us around the world. Now that you know why the giant pandas are so rare, I would like to conclude by saying that until this presentation, most of you probably hadn't thought of what the giant panda stands for or what they're famous for or anything. But these important characteristics make them a symbol of peace and goodwill. And but even though with all the love they receive from people all around the world now, they're still extremely endangered. There are less than 2,500 left in the wild, and there are 300 in captivity. Atlanta, Georgia, and San Diego are fortunate enough to have each have 2 of the only 4 pandas left in the United States. While this is sad, there are some scientists who believe that the endangered species panda is growing, but according to the World Wildlife Fund, their status is still endangered. Thank you.